You're listening to Hashtag No Filter with Zack Peter. That's me, your naturally platinum blonde pop culture connoisseur. I'm the reality TV junkie, self-improvement addict, and host with only the hottest reality tea spilled fresh weekly. For more hot takes, go and give me a follow at Just Plain Zack. I always keep it funny and I always keep it cute. And if you're like me and you want to stay up to date with the latest reality tea, just give us a follow at No Filter with Zack on the Instagram. Or you can always join our private Facebook group. The link is in the description below. I'm excited because I officially have your go-to drink of the summer. Get ready because we're going to have the ultimate night in together, sipping wine, watching Housewives, spilling all the tea with my new limited edition summer rosé. It's light, it's crisp, organic, without all of the extra sugar or sulfites, so you're not going to be hurting tomorrow morning. I'm calling it my Housewives watching wine that I crafted with my partners at Elix, which I'm super excited about. It's inspired by some of the most iconic Housewives moments in history. The one I'm drinking right now is I'm ready to flip a table because I feel like I'm going to be so amped up with the hot takes that we're going to be breaking down today. So get ready. My new wine officially on sale June 10th at nofilterwine.com. June 10th, nofilterwine.com. You can sign up right now so that you get first dibs when it drops. All right, today I've got a very special guest, repeat guest on, who I know you know. He's got a killer Instagram, a wildly entertaining podcast, and he's the ultimate detective on a mission to find Khloe Kardashian's original face. Please welcome host of So Bad It's Good with Ryan Bailey, Mr. Ryan Bailey.
What's up, No Filter Nation? Oh my God, I can't believe you're drinking at 10 a.m. This is amazing.
Listen. Bethenny, I'm sure, was drinking Skinny Girl margarita for breakfast. If she can drive around in a Skinny Girl car, I'm going to pimp the shit out of my wife.
Oh my God. You're like this is amazing. I think you are the first podcaster with a beverage line. I mean, that really is, you're like the Lisa Vanderpump of podcasters. This is amazing.
Is it Lisa?
Honestly.
Would it be Lisa? Well, I feel like Bethenny launched the first beverage of Housewives, right?
Well, that was a cheater brand. It was a cheater brand. She was copying Lisa. No, yeah. Bethenny launched the first thing, but Lisa, I feel like that's LA. Bethenny's New York. You're LA,
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because I feel like I was like, what can I do? Because I don't do Patreon. I don't ask any of like the community for money. Not to knock any of it, because it's just
No. I love that you said I don't do Patreon, so I will do a beverage line. I mean, that's a huge leap. A beverage line is way bigger than a Patreon. Like that's like a mogul kind of a thing.
Well, I was like, what can I do that engages the community that would be like fun while we're all like, I was like, what is my brand? I love to drink. I don't like hangovers, and I love reality TV and Housewives. So I was like, of course, I would love to do like a beverage sort of like deal.
That seems like it blows me away because that really is a huge deal. I don't think you even understand. Like a beverage line, there's only like, that really is, it's like you, Loverboy, and that's it. I guess that's your only competition in light fizzy drinks, right?
Yeah.
In terms of reality shows?
Yeah.
So now you gotta take down Loverboy now.
Oh my God, that's a lot of pressure to take down Loverboy.
You should get Hannah Berner to promote your line as a direct competition to Loverboy.
I would love to, but I think I've burned my bridge with Hannah Berner.
I think we all have, actually.
Well, she has been booked over the past like 8 months. She was booked to come on this show 5 times and canceled day of every single time. So then I was asked about her on another podcast, and I just like laid into it. I was like, I hate a day of cancellation, and then to do it to me 5 times. Like in my head, I was like, there's no way she'll do it again. There's no way she'll do it again. And it happened 5 times.
Oh my God. And I just remembered this is the podcast that was on the first episode of Summer House this season, because when I talked to Lindsay Hubbard a month or so ago, and I brought you up and I said, can you please say something horrible to me right now so I can be on the first episode of next season? Because that was huge. And in fact, I think podcasting, Bravo should be paying podcasters royalties right now, because as much as we get used now for plot devices, and it's really incredible. Like everybody, New York last night, everybody was sitting around a table talking about their podcasts.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Bravo needs to really leverage that. And so it's so interesting because then like Bravo has like the Daily Dish, but I feel like it's hard because once you're on the inside of Bravo, you're not allowed to say as much. I don't know.
It's like, hey, our good friend Jax Taylor is joining us today. We love Jax over here at the Daily Dish. You know, like you can't ever be critical if you're. I mean, Andy can be a little shady, but it's hard to be really critical
because his brand is shady.
I mean, it is. I mean, is it shady? I mean, that's like a huge conversation, though. I feel like so many people either love Andy Cohen or really hate Andy Cohen, and I just don't get the Andy Cohen hate. Like, I don't get that. Like, for some reason, I'm like, how I feel like he's such an easy person to like. And even when he's like shady, it kind of makes me laugh.
I don't mind. I like Andy. I think, though, with Andy, I think his time, like, he's reaching retirement. Like, you can just tell, not in a bad way, but you can just tell at the reunions on Watch What Happens Live that, like,
the
he's
reunions,
getting bored.
You can tell.
He's getting over it, you know? And I think he has a baby now, and, like, his life has just changed that I'm sure he's already looking at, like, what the future of his life is going to look like. And he's done it for so many years that, like, you know...
Well, guess who doesn't have a beverage line? Andy Cohen. I mean, you're right about the retirement thing. I do think he's going, like I said that I think a while back, was that he's got to retire at some point, because I do think he's getting to a point where he has so many more opportunities that do you really want to sit around like dealing with housewives every day, or even just like the amount of housewives that have his personal cell phone? It must get annoying. Like it was probably fun for like the first 10 years.
Yeah.
And then if you're fielding like a text from Ramona at like 3 a.m. or something, it's got to be very upsetting at times.
Well, yeah. And like his life is just, he has a child now. Like that just changes your whole, you're not like, you know, a fun gay guy that gets to go out and party with housewives and do all that. Like it just, your life changes. And I think he's ready to settle down a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, I do worry too, and I don't know if you worry about this. I was just reading the reviews for Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. They finally released them from last week, and it was like a 0.89 or something. New York and OC got bigger first week ratings this year, which shocks me because Beverly Hills was so hyped up, and I thought it was a really great episode. But don't you worry sometimes is that we're so passionate about Bravo, but like, are we bringing in anybody new? Is anybody new coming to these shows, or is it just us that are so passionate? So it's like a loyal fan base, but we're not bringing in any new eyes. And I get worried about that because then some of us start dropping out as we get older. Yeah. And it's like, eventually is it just the OGs, or is there anybody new being brought into the fold in terms of viewers?
I don't think anybody new is being brought in, because you look at like the younger demo, they're not into Housewives. They don't understand what Housewives is, what their mom watches. And like you said, they're not doing anything to bring anybody new in. And if anything, we're all kind of becoming fatigued with the same old shtick. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, that's something I think about all the time now, actually, because it has become such a big part of my life, and I know your life as well. But there is that kind of Housewives fatigue, and when I started watching Housewives at the very beginning, you know, people were like, "Oh my God, it's like Dynasty, or it's like these, you know, hour-long soap dramas that used to play in the 80s or something." And now, if you told a kid like, "Oh, it's like Dynasty or soap," they'd be like, "What the fuck is Dynasty? Like, What are you talking about?" You know, like it really it dates us when it's just fascinating. So I'm hoping there's like a resurgence of a way to get fresh eyes, because I think other streaming services like Netflix, Paramount Plus, all of those things, they're getting the new viewers that I want Bravo to get, you know?
Who do you think of all the streaming services is doing really well in the reality game?
Well, I mean, Netflix, I think, is the top, you know, just because they have so much money to produce content, and they've got an infrastructure to be able to put multiple things into production. I do think HBO Max is one to watch. I think whoever is behind HBO, like just across the board, whoever is running HBO Max, I was like, hats off, because they are just across the board, their documentaries, their movies. Like, to me, that's a really one-stop shop now that I think could take on Netflix at a certain point. But yeah, Netflix has to be, I think, the answer for that, just because they can afford so much more and put out all these crazy ideas. And then, of course, Discovery Plus. But Discovery Plus is like, you know, if you want to like watch somebody with a pimple growing out of their ass, they'll give it like a series deal on Discovery Plus, you know?
Yeah. No, I think I agree. Netflix and HBO Max, I think, is just doing Like they got the Friends reunion, they got the
Yeah,
Fresh
yeah,
Prince reunion.
yeah.
I don't know if you watched I'm assuming you watched The Big Shot with Bethenny.
I did. Yeah.
So, but and like the filming of that show was so good. The shots,
beautiful.
it's
Beautiful.
beautifully shot. The show overall was, a bit of, it had its kinks that need to be worked out. It needs to like see a massage therapist to really work out some of those kinks. But then again, it's Bethenny, and it's the first time she's ever done anything like this.
I was talking to that DJ Nicole Rose, who was a contestant on there, and my problem with that show was that, like you said, it's like beautifully shot. Like you're not going to get a better looking show other than The Hills, I guess, which is but like you didn't. Like you kind of went in, not really, they didn't pump up the characters enough where like, I think I could be in this show. Like, I don't even have a bit, like, I didn't realize that they actually did have really strong business backgrounds and it wasn't really talked about a lot. So we kind of were like, it didn't have enough foundation for us to take this seriously. Because I was like, there's no effing way that Bethenny's hiring any of these people.
Yeah.
Like, and then all of a sudden she was letting people go and then bringing them back as assistants, and Bryn, her daughter, was making decisions. And I was like, this is so confusing. And it was kind of fun. I'm sure it'll get a second season. I don't know if it'll be with Bethenny, but also it's just like a direct ripoff of The Apprentice. And I was like, I was somebody that I watched every season of The Apprentice.
Mm-hmm.
It was crazy. I watched every season. I enjoyed The Apprentice as a comedy, and it's a direct ripoff.
It really is. And I think in her head, it was like a full circle moment because she did The Apprentice with Martha Stewart, that she was like, oh, and it's all coming together. A place of, yes, all roads lead to Rome. And so I think, but there were just so many, like, what it is and this was probably her, she wanted to be the star of the show that she didn't want to be. Like when Donald Trump did The Apprentice, he wasn't the star. He allowed the talent to really bring their strengths to the table that made us fall in love with each of the individual contestants more than we were in love with Donald Trump. Like Donald Trump was kind of just the conductor making sure the train moved in the right direction. And Bethenny had to be the star.
And even I think Mark Burnett was the conductor that led everything in the right direction. And Mark Burnett actually is one of the producers on Bethenny's show. But you're right. Like we actually did care about those characters on The Apprentice. And I'm not even talking about Celebrity Apprentice. I'm talking about the original iteration. And like this, besides DJ Nicole Rose, I didn't think anybody stood out to me. I wasn't like rooting for anybody. I was like, oh, was this all shot in like 2 weeks? Like, cause of the timing. And then she was like, no, it was over like a month and a half. And I was like, what? That was a month and a half. I was like, it made it seem like everything was kind of just thrown together. And I know it was during COVID, but it was just very weird, certain aspects of that show. So it was like, it kind of worked as a weird David Lynchian, like, I just kind of like kept thinking about how the production worked rather than the actual content.
Yeah, I agree. Or like when Bethenny would do some of these like wild on the fly moments, I would be like, how is production dealing with this right now? Like, they're freaking out.
Well, do you believe wild on the fly moments, or do you think wild on the fly moments are very planned as wild on the fly moments? Do you know what I'm saying? And do you get this feeling all the time? I hate that the further I get into all this stuff, that I have such a distrust now for everything I see. I do not believe anything. And I hate that's like, there are people that watch these shows and they believe everything and they're just like swept away by the magic, and they believe everybody's redemption arc, and me, I'm like, I don't believe anything. You have to prove it to me. I think everything's fake now. And I hate that about myself.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think I would say maybe 80% of it was because if you think about Bethenny, she's such a seasoned reality star and producer that she understands how the mechanics work, that I think 80% of it was planned chaos, that she was like, I'm going to do this, let the producers know ahead of time. But I think there were those occasional moments where she would throw a curveball and you can just kind of see like the camera shake in an interesting enough way that the producers and the cameramen are like, oh shit, we're not prepared to shoot that shot, or we're not prepared to do this or that I think there were some of those moments. But I mean, overall, I would say entertainment wise, the show was an 8 out of 10. As a show overall, I would maybe say a 6 out of 10.
Yeah, I would go 6 out of 10. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I watched every episode. I mean, but also I think all of our, we have a love-hate thing with Bethenny herself. And I also get very territorial and things like that of like, I don't think anybody is bigger than their individual show.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think Bethenny should ever act like she invented Housewives or she's the reason this is on the map. She's one of the reasons, but I don't think anybody on any of these shows are bigger than their actual show. I mean, you could, of course, Bethenny is the richest person that has used the show now, and we got to see that journey. But I think when you start acting like you are bigger than where you came from, I mean, anything in life, not just Housewives, I think it's a real issue. And I think audiences can read that and they're like, yeah, we helped put you here and we'll take you out too, like.
Do you think that she's going to have a career on TV, or do you think she's going to settle back and just let Skinny Girl run its course until it ends up at Marshall's?
If I was her, I would do the last one. But I think she will have a career in TV for as long as because once you are that rich and powerful and you have that kind of team behind you, which her agents and managers and all that are just top of the line. She can do TV now whenever she wants. It might not be her own project, but she pushed herself onto Shark Tank. She has the right people in her corner where if that's what she wants, she'll be able to get it easily.
But how many times is she going to shoot her shot and miss? Because she tried to do her own talk show. It didn't land. She tried to do Shark Tank. I don't know if they're going to be picking her up much in the future. She tried to do her own reality show. That only lasted a couple of seasons before she was ready to dip out. She tried to do The Big Shot. I don't think The Big Shot is going to be a 10-season with Bethenny type of show. It's not going to be The Apprentice. The only show that she ever really had that was ever really successful was Housewives.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, it will be interesting. And I don't know the awareness level of anybody in that kind of popularity, how aware they are of their success at a certain point. Like, I always think sometimes you get to a point where they don't seem like they understand that it might be going away, their success, or it might, like Kelly Ben-Simone still thinks she's on the Housewives. Yeah. Kelly Ben-Simone still thinks she's exactly in the series. I mean, she still releases, Danielle Staub still thinks she's a housewife, still thinks she's like, and so you get her releasing these things of like, this is for the fans. And it's like, no, that's for you. And you're being crazy as hell. And I love it, but it's interesting. People don't get it. Like they don't seem to be aware or cognizant at a certain point, which I think that same behavior is why they're great housewives to begin with.
Let's talk New York, because I feel like New York, last time we spoke about New York, it was when we had lost Bethenny and we weren't sure who the anchor was going to be. So we've now lost Bethenny, Dorinda, and Tinsley. What do you think of this new? Not that Tinsley really brought that much, but
we lost the anchor, Tinsley.
Right. Tinsley was like the little, a little extra sprinkle on top of the cupcake that was already a complete cupcake that you would enjoy without the sprinkles.
Loved it. I love Tinsley. Yeah.
What do you think of this current season?
I mean, I hate to okay, I thought last night's episode, I don't know when this comes out, but last night's episode I thought was great. I thought it was an amazing episode. So much happened. It was a real nice, energetic episode as opposed to the first three that were very, slow pace, which I don't mind on Real Housewives of New York compared to others, because I think you come to New York for the characters. You come to and you have you have three of the Chicago Bulls championship winning team on there. You got Lou, Sonja, and Ramona. So all of a sudden, if you watch any of their behavior, to me that is always a winning combination. But you have so much pressure put on 5 ladies. I know that everybody's saying that, but it's true. 5 ladies is too few of housewives. It puts too much weight on those characters. And like we saw 2 episodes ago, Ebony went to bed early, and then there takes 20% of the cast away. And then Leah goes to check on Ebony. There's 40%. And so you have Sonja, Lou, and Ramona just working their asses off, and you can tell they know. So they're getting louder. They're like, and it's, I still love to watch that, but I hate it because I know that the fans are going to be pretty intense with, oh, this is not working. This isn't working, And my thing is, I'm watching these shows regardless. I'm going to watch them if they're the worst. I'm going to watch them if they're the best. I'd prefer to watch them if they're the best, but it doesn't matter. But I think it's good. I just think, we're dealing with COVID. I think sometimes production gets a little lazy. like I said, the real show for me now is just kind of guessing how production works and like
Yeah.
why they chose to go with only 5 ladies. Why are they putting in the work? I said this last week. I get worried that we are thinking about this. I could be really wrong, but we are thinking about this so much deeper than anybody in production. Like we will take a moment and we will beat it to death. We will talk about it. We will theorize on it. And I sometimes worry that we're doing this more than production is. And that's why sometimes we're seeing kind of lazy scenes. And, Leah, like we said, is not having a great second season so far. And, she's doing that she's doing that thing where she's creating storylines. And I personally want to watch these shows to just see this person's human behavior. And I really loved Leah the first season. I still like Leah. But when you start creating storylines or start going like, who's this Heather Holla Thomson and what did she say in the press and this, you don't have to do that. Like the simple human behavior is so much more fascinating to watch, without any interference, that you don't need to do this. Like Ramona, Sonja, and Lou, they can just be themselves. I mean, granted, Sonja's always at a 10, but like it's just fascinating watching them just naturally interact with each other. Like that conversation on the bus, you guys, last night, where they were talking about like, oh, Sonja, you just fuck those guys. I was married to Tom. Da da da. Like just their normal conversation to me was like a play. It's like so good.
Yeah. No, I agree. But I also feel like I think Real Housewives of OC is done. I don't think we should even try to bring it back because you're going to try to either revamp it or bring back old characters. And I feel like at this point you've lost so much of the audience that I don't know if you can salvage OC. And we're getting to this point where the formula, I love Lou, Sonja, and Ramona, but I'm getting to the point where it's the same thing. Luann's always going to be a total narcissist. Ramona's always going to put her foot in her mouth. Sonja's always going to be drunk talking about the Morgan family. It's like, how many seasons of that can we do? It was enjoyable at the beginning. It got fun when we brought in some new characters, and now it's just a lot of the same thing with no new storyline or energy or direction for the three of them. At this point, their lives have become the show. Ryan, you're frozen. Did I lose you? Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Is it me or is it him? You're frozen. Oh, I do have his phone number. There we go. You're back. Sorry. You're back.
That dipped out. Sorry. You're saying it got fun when
it got fun when we added some new flavors to the mix, but now it's just the same thing. We know what to expect from all three of these women, and we know what to expect from their dynamic.
Yeah, but would you say the same thing of I don't personally like them, but people seem to still be insanely in love with the Fast and Furious franchise. You're not why do they keep doing these movies? I hate Vin Diesel. I feel like there is but it then lends itself to the argument of, we know Lou and Sonja and all that stuff, but are they bringing in anybody new? Is anybody, and that's why new casting is always that's why Leah was exciting last season, because here was like a disruptor for the season. Yeah. She was going through something, and we were locked indoors during COVID, and it was very exciting to watch, somebody really go after Ramona and things like that. So I can go both ways on it. I just worry about I'm just thinking into the future of what is the long-term longevity of these shows.
Yeah.
And it begins and ends with casting. And I think casting has been extremely lazy and extremely one note, in the sense of they're just trying to bring in people to teach other people about a race in America.
Yeah.
About ethnicities and stuff like that. And it's which I think is a very important conversation that I'm glad Bravo is taking on, but it can't be the only thing we do. You got to bring in other new people, because it puts so much weight on that person that they're bringing in. I just watched a scene from Beverly Hills this week where Crystal Mingoff and Sutton get into it. And, Sutton unfortunately doesn't look too great in the scene. And I'm just but that's our new person we have is Crystal. And that's just a lot of weight to put on her.
Yeah. I mean, we also have Kathy. I'm
Oh,
really
Kathy, I love you, man. Oh my God, what an amazing! Oh, so good.
So I'm really excited. So New York was just a little slow for me. I'm excited to see Heather's edition. I feel like it's going to be a fast burn though, where she's going to come in. There's going to be heat with Leah, and then who knows what the rest of the season's actually going to pull or actually going to bring to the audience that's new or different or exciting. But with Beverly Hills, I feel like there's so much more story there. We have a lot more. We have a lot of women on Beverly Hills. We have 8 women that are on the show. We have
Yeah, yeah.
Sutton, who's not technically new, but a new diamond holder, even though I feel like she's probably gotten the same amount of camera time this season than she did last season, which was a total burn on her last year. We have Crystal, and then we have Kathy. And I think Kathy and Crystal, I'm very excited about, and I'm thoroughly enjoying both of them already.
I mean, when Kathy, like at the end of last week's episode, just randomly said, I used to practice dental work on the neighbor kids. I was just like, what? Like, I mean, that to me is everything I love in a Housewives show, of just some innocuous comment that you're like, what did you do? You were like a kid and you were practicing dental work on other kids, and you made Kyle and it was so vivid to me that it's all I could think about. And those are the moments I love, of just like, she just said it offhandedly, just like nothing big. And I was just like, I want to know more about that. Kathy is already endlessly fascinating, because how do you raise like Paris Hilton? But, I mean, it just, to me, I was like, what a great addition. I'm so happy she agreed to join.
What do you think we're going to get from Erika this season?
I mean, a bunch of bullshit. Already I was getting annoyed because I feel like she's trying to, it's so funny. I feel like it's two forces coming against each other. She's trying to give herself a hero edit, and production is not trying to give her that. So it's like even she got dropped off at Dorit's house, or Dorit, as Kathy says. Dorit. And she was like, thank you so much for the ride. Like she like says to the Uber driver, thank you so much for the ride. And then production is like putting like overflow closet and like showing gold boots and showing like all of, the Erika Jayne personal collection jewelry is being brought out. It's like, it is insane. And I got to say, it was like really, it was one of those things where you watch and you kind of laugh about and all that stuff, but you realize the severity of that situation. And I'm like, man, I would love to know the conversation that went on in her head or with her people about why go on this season, because I feel like this not only could hurt her case, but I think it reminds the viewers of how, I don't know, like it started making me think of the overall, if wealth really exists, or if it's just people stealing from each other and stuff, like you start thinking about these bigger questions of these aspirational lives, which was what the Housewives originally were. And then you realize, is it aspirational if you potentially have to go to jail?
It's so interesting because we've seen so many of these different cases kind of play out where you see that the money isn't really like, the wealth isn't real. It's an illusion. It's it's really just smoke and mirrors at this point. And how many times have we seen it with all these different housewives? With Erika, I'm curious to see how it all plays out, because everything broke while they were filming. These current scenes were pre-divorce. They were
But I feel like she knew something was coming.
But even if she knew something was coming, it didn't break into the press in the way, like it didn't become the big scandal where all these other lawsuits came out. Like there was one lawsuit in the works, which was Edelson in Chicago. That one was in the works that you could say she probably had a heads up about that. But now we have so many other victims and so many other cases and lawsuits. And now Tom has pretend amnesia, and it's really blown up.
Well, which, by the way, we have the same situation at Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, where the story blew up while they were filming. Like, I mean, we potentially have the first Housewives show where an FBI agent might have a talking head. Like that wouldn't that be amazing if like Agent Smith is one of the characters on next seasons of Salt Lake? Like that'd be amazing. I would love for an FBI agent to be an ongoing, recurring character on a Housewives show.
How are you feeling about Garcelle this season? Because I appreciated her in the premiere.
I really, man, the same thing as the dental line with Kathy is the same thing with the fish line with Garcelle, of like, oh, my boring fish is named Kyle, and my this other. I just like that's so great. That's to me that kind of level of petty and specificity is so great. Like if I came from an acting background, and if you can be specific like that, that's what I think endears you to an audience, is because it's just like that's so specific. Like people usually can't make up that kind of stuff. That's like real,
Do you think Kathy Hilton will? Well, I guess. Do you feel like she has, and will she continue to rehab her image from the Paris Hilton documentary where she looked really bad?
1,000%. Also, I don't know what the awareness. I mean, I watched the Paris Hilton documentary, and I know a lot of people did, but also the awareness of that, it kind of died out, that storyline.
Yeah.
And unless Paris comes on and brings it up in this, I don't think people are extremely aware, except for the hardcore people that have watched that whole situation. And of course, you guys see referring to Paris Hilton. I think she put her in like an Outward Bound thing that she got kind of assaulted and some weird shit happened. But I think she can totally come back from that. I mean, also, it wasn't like Kathy was like some folk hero to begin with. And that like really, it was like, I obviously expected something weird to happen in that family.
Yeah.
I was around when Paris Hilton first got successful. I remember when the sex tape came out. These were all, I didn't think that they obviously were like perfect parents at all.
Yeah.
So I think she can definitely rehab. In fact, I think this will help Kathy, if it does anything.
I think it's part of the reason she decided to do the show finally. Aside from being bored in quarantine, I think she was like, I got a really bad edit in the documentary. I have an offer that I get every year. Let me be a part-time housewife and let's just see how this goes. But I'll only be part-time so I can be funny and cheeky and zany on the show. And, I feel like Kathy's the perfect combination of Kyle and Kim. She's kooky, zany, crazy, but she also has the glam.
Yeah, and I love her voice too. Of like, it kind of sounds like Martha Stewart, but then at times she can go high pitch and be a little like Paris Hilton. So it's like a really fascinating voice. Like I can't wait to hear more of it.
Thoughts on Reyna and how many seasons she has left?
Personally, I want this to be her last season. I do not like Reyna. I've always disliked Reyna after her third season. And, but I think but me being wise about it, she can be on this as long as she wants. Like she's not going anywhere. And also it's something that I've come to terms with in the last couple months is that hating a housewife is pretty much the same as loving a housewife, that's how these shows work. I think they only work if you hate somebody passionately and love somebody passionately, Can
we talk about Teddy? Because Teddy.
No, I prefer not to.
I know.
No.
But so many people hate Teddy that's what keeps her relevant.
No. I think that's a different thing. That's not hate. That's like, I hate to be bored. That's not, I don't hate, like she makes me laugh. Like she was like aghast at like two women kissing each other, potentially hooking up last season. She was like, what? Denise and what? Like, I mean, it really, that said so much about her to me. Also, we can call Teddy boring. I mean, if we were able to show on this show her all in diet practice and all the stuff that got raised about that. Now, to me, that's a great storyline that I would love to see Teddy defend herself, because Teddy does not defend herself very well.
No.
Teddy is not good at speaking. Teddy is like, Teddy's like the redheaded stepchild. Like and it's fun. I love making fun of Teddy. Teddy is somebody that I love making fun of, but also I think when you then, it's like Erika Jayne, when you then get into harming other people and making money off of that, it gets like into this really dicey situation where it's like, man, like I don't know if I want to keep you on here and potentially bringing in new clients to your diet stuff. I mean, I feel like gives it a weird platform.
Yeah, but I feel like with like there's something about Teddy. I don't like Teddy, and she's had some very unnice things to say about me on her podcast. So
wait, for real?
Yeah.
Oh, what'd she say?
She did. Well, I interviewed Jillian Michaels, and I asked Jillian what she thought of the whole like all in with Teddy scandal. And Jillian's like, well, is she a registered dietitian? And I said, no, she's not a registered dietitian. And then Jillian was like, well, I think, these people like Teddy just need to stay in their own lane. And like, she said something to that effect. And then it got picked up in Us Weekly that Jillian Michaels slams Teddy Mellencamp and tells her to stay in her own lane. And it like went everywhere in the press. And which you're welcome, Teddy, because no one was fucking talking about you prior to that after you left Housewives. This was a couple months ago. And then she went on her podcast and said that I baited Jillian Michaels into saying something bad because I was trying to make press. And that's what these podcasters do is they try to bait their guests into, I don't know,
I wish I baited guests more. Like, sometimes I'm like, man, I wish but like, I'm not looking to get into any kind of podcast war or even have like Teddy even know who I am. But at the same time, I will say, like, it got announced that she possibly could be coming back to Beverly Hills for like an episode or whatever through Kyle. And if and when she does, I already have a guest lined up that it's part of All In that will be reading her text messages. We'll be reading because I just think that if you're going to have the fame part of it and you're going to be on national, then you're also going to have to deal with the other part of it.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't something made up. These things are happening. And this is something that you got to be careful if she is profiting off of this. I mean, I still want to know how her husband's security company was the one that was watching Kyle's house and all her purses got stolen. Like, yeah. I mean, I want more about that.
There were so many good storylines that we could have really delved into with Teddy, like the all-in stuff, really dived into more of the security stuff that I don't think we really got. All we got was Teddy trying to point the finger and hold other people accountable. And I would have loved to have seen her in the hot seat being held accountable the way we're seeing Erika having to speak for herself this season.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been great, but at the same time, I do think it'll be, and this is me just being honest, it will be more entertaining to watch Erika defend herself than it ever would have been to watch Teddy defend herself. Teddy would not have held up to any of it. I mean, we saw her cry with the first or second episode last season when Sutton said, I thought Teddy was boring, and then she was like, it's fine. Like, I mean, which was hysterical, but like, we know she doesn't do well with any kind of like critical eye on her. So
that's why it would have been enjoyable to watch her squirm.
It would have been, like, here's the deal. I don't care at the end of the day if they take somebody or leave somebody. I'm going to watch these shows regardless, But what I do want, though, is if somebody's kept or left, I want it to be because the production really thought about it. They really talked it out. They really said, what could we possibly get from this person? I want to know that work is being put into that. Like, I do. Like, I want to know they are really thinking this through, because if not, and it's just like, well, just like it's less work if we keep her, like I want these shows to, like, I really want them to hold up, and I want them to stand the test of time. So like, I want them to put the work in, and they might be, it just sometimes feels like they're not. And it's like, they're taking the easy way out sometimes.
What do you think of the All-Star series?
Well, did you hear? It's not even their Bravo is really shying away from calling it All-Stars. It's going to be called, it's called Housewives Mashup,
which is a terrible fucking name.
Terrible name.
Worse than Summer House Winter Charm. Like, what the fuck are we doing?
Well, now see, this is my thing. It's like, are they purposely, this is how paranoid my mind is now. Are they purposely giving bad names so we'll talk about it incessantly? Because I have not stopped talking about Summer House Winter Charm,
I don't know if they're that smart. Well, not that I don't know if it's that well thought out.
Well, I mean, that's what I just question everything now. I'm like, how do you call it mashup? Like, I understand not wanting to call it All-Stars because maybe you want to leave it open of like, we're not saying as Bravo that these are the best. And by the way, the cast is not the best of the Housewives. It's really, they're all Housewives, but it's not, I wouldn't say all of them are All-Stars, but All-Stars is a way better title than Mashup. Mashup is dumb as hell. And I love the concept, but this is what I said all along, is that like, Bravo needed to get in the game. And by that, I mean 90 Day Fiancé and that whole 90 Day Fiancé universe was trouncing Bravo. Literally copied Bravo and then ran with it. Like everybody on 90, they were giving their cast members GoPros. They were given, I mean, I'll watch like a 30-minute shower scene with Colty from 90 Day Fiance, and they'll put that up as a show. And Bravo is like very particular about their brand and stuff. And I was like, it's time to be less particular, and it's time to throw everything against the wall and see what sticks, because 90 Day Fiance is getting like 3.2 million a week.
Yeah.
And Bravo's barely cracking 1 million now. Like that's a huge, and Bravo was the one that started this. And that's why I get infuriated, because I'm like, you got to start doing shit like this. And that's why I love Summer House Winter Charm. I love Bravo. Like, I'm like, yes, make it so we're a part of a universe. Like, let's co-integrate. Let's integrate this stuff. And I know Andy said, well, that's, if that ever happens, that would be, like kind of the death knell. And he was wrong. He was 100% wrong. He did not see the future of where all of this was going. And I think he came to this decision. Well, it's probably not even Andy's decision anymore, but it was brought a couple years late. They should have been doing this a couple years ago. And I'm hoping it works, because I think it really will be a way to really stir up some support.
I don't know if you remember all of the VH1 shows prior to the whole big Ryan Jenkins scandal that kind of ended all of that and killed 51 Minds, but
loved it.
They took like Flavor of Love, and then they continued to evolve that one dating show, launched, different variations similar to Housewives. It started in one and then it branched out. And then they went and they did Charm School and they did I Love Money, where they just continued to create that universe. And they were the ones that did it first and did it successfully in a way that, like, I was so engaged watching these women in this Bad Girls Club style show trying to rehab their image with like Sharon Osbourne and Monique. Like, it was just such fascinating TV. And then you had I Love Money, where they're competing for like a big, what was it, like $250,000. So you just had so many fun and different ideas that they were willing to play with these characters that they knew were stars, but they knew would grow stale in the same format. And that's what we're finding with Housewives, is they're growing stale in this same formula, that we need to shake things up. And I think this All-Star series was a great way to do that. I feel like it's going to fall flat, though.
Well, I mean, and you're right. Like that VH1, that whole period of time. I mean, I watched all of that crap, like, and someday they'll write a book on that, because I really thought I was watching Celebrity Fit Club. I was watching, Celebrity Rehab. I was watching VH1 was really like knocking it out of the park. And you think about this whole period of time where it was like VH1 was one of the places to go for these reality shows. And I mean, even MTV to a degree. I mean, theirs were more kind of like Pimp My Ride and Room Raiders and stuff. But I'm like, they have all of this amazing content or content. And I don't understand. Like, I know what happened with 51 Minds and stuff, but I don't understand why VH1 and MTV aren't doing, a reality show channel together of like, I mean, sometimes I'm like, they have all of this content. Why are we not seeing Next on a daily basis? Yeah. Why are we not seeing Celebrity Rehab again, like on the actual channels? Like this is stuff that I feel like inspired all of the things that we see today. And it wasn't even like bad. It was like, why are we not running any of this stuff? They just thankfully started doing Real World again on Paramount Plus, and they did the Real World Homecoming, which I loved this past season. But it's like, these are the history of reality shows. And it's like, I always think, like, put some respect on that name, is like, this is where all of this came from. But it's like, we've like matrixed, or like we've made everybody we've mind wiped everybody. And like, these shows are kind of forgotten about in the grand scheme of things,
Last summer, I did a fun, like, OG reality stars theme where I interviewed a lot. Like, I interviewed Tiffany Pollard and Megan Hauserman and, like, all of those old reality stars. And it was so much fun for me. And I was surprised at how many people, like, thoroughly enjoyed it. And it's funny to see, like, a lot of them are, like, they still have beef with each other to this day. It's been, like, 20 years, and they're, like, fighting with each other on Instagram still.
See, and that's I mean, this is like now like the State of the Union, but that is another thing that we, if I was running any of these networks, they got to be really careful about social media. Social media is eclipsing all of these shows, especially with Bravo. Like, you got to put a leash on this stuff, it's like I get with like the Bachelor franchise and all that, part of it's just becoming Instagram famous, and that's why people do it. But on these Bravo and stuff like that, you should not be having these fights in any kind of social media. You know, it's like it should all be on the show. And if you're going to let them fight on social media, you damn well better be doing a show each week to catch the viewer up on all the insanity that happened on social media. It's not fair. You're leaving out, I would say, 40% of the audience not being aware of social media in the capacity that these housewives are using it. And then you're having the other 60% completely aware of it and wondering why these shows aren't touching it. Like it's so ridiculous. You're mapping out these seasons without anything being filmed. Like the second show is better than the first show, the actual show.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, it's the same reason like the Kardashians have kind of grown stale with their shows. It's like everything happens on social media that when you watch it on the show, it really isn't anything new or interesting or entertaining. And now they are bringing in this, you know, their final season, they're bringing in like Addison Rae and these like other TikTokers and Instagrammers that are really, you know, fan accounts.
Well, it's like in old sitcoms, you guys, they would do this thing where they would have a baby, and then the next season the baby would all of a sudden be 5.
Yeah.
You know, they'd be like, oh, we're going to add some new juice to this cast, you know? And it's the same thing with like Kardashians this season. We're bringing in Addison Rae, and all of a sudden you're like, why is a 20-year-old running around with Courtney? Like, this is so weird. But also Kardashians is kind of like, I had the creator of Nori's Black Book, that account that's insanely popular, on yesterday. And they had her on the show this season. They had her on the show where they revealed the identity and they got to meet her. And it was great in the sense that we realize how much they are aware of the social media of the show, because that to me that was a really fun blend of being aware and using what's out there and realizing that they're aware of the universe that they created, which I think is like really important. And that's why I think we're also seeing things like the fourth wall being more brought into Bravo, because that's the reality of this situation. If you're going to be real, you got to talk about the reality of like, there's cameras pointed at these ladies.
Yeah.
Like we don't see that. We don't see the lighting. We don't see all of this stuff.
And
So
they've become famous because of what was.
Yeah. And when we get a peek behind that curtain, I think that's it's like goosebumps, you know. I'm like, yes, oh my God. It really sucks you in, I think, when you have one of those moments. And we're seeing them now more and more on Bravo, and I applaud that.
Yeah, it's about time. All right, I want to do a quick shady rapid fire with you to close out the show.
Yeah.
Do you believe Luann really is allergic to alcohol?
No, not at all.
Would you drink her fose?
Yeah, I'll drink anything. Yeah, 100%.
No, it looks disgusting. There's no alcohol. What's the point?
No, you're right. I see. I have to tread lightly here, just because I personally don't get non-alcoholic drinks or like mocktails and all that. Yeah. But then I have a lot of friends that are sober that really love them. So like, I can't speak from that experience, because I'm like, what a waste. Why not just drink Diet Coke or water or something? Like these things, I feel like it would almost make me want to drink more, or, you know, but if it works for them, it works for them. But it is funny of like Luann going like, go get my bottle of frosé from the car. I want to drink that here, you know?
But there's a difference between a mocktail, because a mocktail is fun. It's a beverage. But a fosé just like sounds like a sweet, syrupy, like Capri Sun. No thanks. Do you think Ramona is truly a work in progress or a train wreck beyond repair?
A train wreck beyond repair, but I will say, a train wreck beyond repair will still, you know, get a couple stops right. And you can see in her way, she really does love Sonja. You can see in her, and also I love how she starts every season with being peaceful and being like, you know, agreeable. And then you see that kind of slowly deteriorate over the season. It happens every season. And she was like with Ebony, I'm like, oh, I get along with you. I love you, you know? So I really find that fascinating, but I think she's a train wreck, and that's why we love her. She's one of the only ones that is a train wreck that I 100% love, and I don't know why. Like I shouldn't love Ramona. Like I shouldn't love her as much as I do.
Bethenny's Skinny Girl brand. Would you rather have DJ Nicole Rose's Skinny Girl syrup shots, or would you rather have Skinny Girl cold cuts?
Cold cuts, you know, more protein. Yeah, I mean the syrup shots. I don't know. For some reason, it just I feel like I shouldn't be putting syrup in my body. I mean, I don't, it just sounds weird to me, but like, and I'm, protein's bad. I don't know. That's a hard one. That's a hard one.
That's a hard.
Wow, that's going to really keep me up tonight.
Will Erika win over fans by the end of the season, or will she completely tank her reputation?
I think she will. That's good. I think it's hard because I watch the shows differently than a lot of people watch the shows, and I think you watch the shows in a similar way that I do. But a lot of fans, if they take what they see and they don't question it, she could possibly keep the fans that she already has. But I mean, I think it's one of those things that's going to split the audience completely. I think it's going to be obvious to both sides. Like, I think I'll be like, she's completely ruined herself. And those people like, you go, girl, you stood up for yourself, girl. Like, it'll be that kind of thing. So I have a feeling it's just going to be more of the same. It's going to be kind of middle of the road. But I will say production, I was kind of happy of how shady they were towards her. That had to have been by design. It had to have been. Like, you can't have Mikey running around like with all of these clothes. I mean, it felt so weird knowing that they know. I mean, I know this that happened during the season, but when they were editing, it had already happened. So they know.
That was a point that I think somebody tried to make on my podcast a couple weeks ago, where they said that, like, or obviously not a couple weeks ago because it just happened last week, but someone mentioned it about how it couldn't have been production being shady because obviously they didn't know the scandal was going to break when they filmed this. But I'm like, you don't realize how much archived footage they have that they can easily just throw in about the house or the mansion or, whatever, that a lot of this is done in post-production, that the shade comes after filming.
It's like Vanderpump Rules last season, love it or hate it. But what they did have was like 8 seasons of being able to like do flashbacks of every time Sheena fell in love with the guy, or every time Jack said he was a work in progress, or every time. So that is all footage that you probably most likely will see keep being brought up throughout the season.
Team Heather, Holla, Thomson, or Team Leah?
Leah on this specific instance, because, Heather, you can't, I mean, like, you can talk shit, like, and I talk shit, but like, then you will, I also know that I'll probably get called on it at some point by somebody. Yeah. And I don't, like, she did say those things. I don't necessarily agree with like Leah just completely bringing it up or like riling it up, but like, I would have been, if I was Heather, I would have been acutely aware going into that scenario, knowing that I had said these things and that they were out there, Yeah. I mean, and she's a smart girl, and Heather handled it great. She really definitely handled it and like got it smoothed over. But I'm with Leah on that one.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you to see Jen Shah get arrested on Salt Lake City?
Oh, I mean, like, the number doesn't exist. I mean, it's really all I'm living for right now. So
it's the first time we've ever, I mean, obviously they don't film the actual arrest, but they film the FBI raid. They film her coming out of court. Like, that was all done in live time. Like, Teresa Giudice, a lot of her stuff was like press clippings that were edited into the show, but this is happening in real time. I'm really excited about Salt Lake.
Imagine if we get a Coach Shaw pep talk with her behind bars.
Oh,
and it's
my
like
God.
One of those business streets, like, you do good in there, baby. Yeah.
I can't wait. Well, thank you so much, Ryan Bailey, for coming on #NoFilter with Zack Peter. Again, where can people follow you and support your podcast?
So Bad It's Good with Ryan Bailey on Instagram, and that is the podcast name as well. You can follow me on all podcast outlets. It's a daily pod, so just pick and choose who you like to listen to. Have great guests on there, pop culture stories. It's not just Housewives. We go into a bunch of, we had a huge conversation about Justin Bieber this week. So it's kind of all over the map. Give it a shot, see if you like it. But if not, there's so many great Eventually, there's a podcast for every single person living in this United States of America. So you will find something you love. And also, just a reminder on anything, not only like just with this podcast in mind, the freest thing, the easiest thing you can do is rate it 5 stars. We put a lot of work into this for free. And it's a passion project. So if you want to support that, if you want to keep going, 5 stars really does help. And I know that sounds silly. It's not egotistical, but I'm telling you, I've been having meetings lately and it is something that gets brought up. So
it's huge.
If you can, great,
Please, please, please. It's interesting. There's a podcaster in this world with us, Ryan Bailey, that's paying people to leave us scathing 1-star reviews.
Wait, what?
we can talk about it afterwards.
Oh, you know what? I bet I know who it is.
I think you know.
I've heard this. I think I've heard this from somebody else before, and now I'm scared. I'm like, I hope he leaves me alone.
No, it just happened to me in a few of other shows that I am friends with. But yeah, it's like, so please support us. Leave us 5 stars, like genuine, look, even if you don't want to give me 5 stars, you want to give me 4 stars, whatever is an honest, genuine review, because I love the feedback. I love the critique, and I'm willing to take that. And please support So Bad It's Good with Ryan Bailey, because it's a great fucking show. And you do it daily now, right?
Yeah, it's a daily podcast. Yeah. I mean, it is. But, I mean, if you do something you love, I mean, this is the first time that ever made sense to me, is that I genuinely do. It's work. Yeah. It's really, really time consuming, but it really is fun. I mean, I was doing this in my personal life anyways. So now it's just recorded and I get to be frustrated with technical difficulties,
No, I literally had my drive crash on me the other day, and I've hopefully didn't lose a ton of footage. I'm giving it to the tech gods to fix for me, which will hopefully be solved, because I did a mini reunion with DJ Nicole Rose and Brody from Big Shot. That was like a really fun combo with the three of us that I'm hoping gets aired soon, but it's on that drive, so we'll see. Fingers crossed. I also forgot to mention the when we were talking about Teddi, how shady is it that she filmed 2 scenes for this season and not once did we get a single glimpse of her in the trailer? Normally when there's a Jill Zarin cameo or something, you see like a 1 second. Even in the Big Shot trailer, we saw Dorinda for like 2 seconds. We didn't get any glimpse of Teddi aside from her announcing it herself that she's coming on the show.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, I don't know if that's shady, or I don't know if it's production going like, I don't know if we want to deal with the hate that this might cause. So, I don't know. I don't think
they thought she would even, they probably aren't even sure if it's going to make the season. And that says a lot.
I mean, that is true. And but it's one of those things, like, once again, I want to know what production is talking about. I want to know, like, to me, that's the show I want to see, is them like sitting around a table, like talking this stuff out, like, what are we looking for this season? Like, I want to know that stuff.
I agree. Thank you guys for listening to #NoFilter with Zack Peter. Please go listen and support So Bad It's Good with Ryan Bailey. Your social handle again for everybody. It's
So Bad It's Good with Ryan Bailey.
Yes, you can follow me at Just Plain Zack. You can follow the show at No Filter with Zack. And you can get my new wine, my Housewives Watching wine, on sale with Elix June 10th. You can go to nofilterwine.com. You can sign up for updates, so as soon as it's available, you get first dibs. Go to nofilterwine.com right now, and June 10th, get ready. It's on sale at 11 a.m. Pacific, so you're going to want to be on the computer ready. So you can get some wine, so we can get lit this weekend and just have an ultimate summer of fun together, drinking, sipping some wine, spilling some tea. Please leave us 5-star reviews, because we love that validation. I'm a millennial. You're not are you?
No. I'm in my 70s. So
I'm a millennial. I love that validation. So please go and validate me and give us a follow, give us some reviews, and I will talk to you this Monday. All right, guys. Bye.